fly on the wall-esque at the same time too, so it's a little nice.
It's also kind of a totally different dynamic.
Yeah, I know. It's a juxtaposition there.
With two people now, it's totally different. But yeah, no. So, what's the show's name?
These people are sick.
Yeah. So, all right, we're back. We're fucking back. And if whoever's listening to this is a returning listener from our former project, thank you. Thanks for returning. This I feel like this is probably going to just be in a lot of ways a continuation of what we have been doing. And I'm really stoked about that. I think there's some differences that I'm also pretty stoked on. We're going to be getting back into having guests. We already got a couple on the books.
The boys.
Right now we're still kind of building up. So, I mean, I'm just fucking lightning round getting through housekeeping shit because it's hardly listenable, and this is the strong opening. Patreon, all that stuff, not here yet. We're just fucking putting something out to get this started. And I think, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about, I'm stoked to talk a little bit more about like the kind of esoteric, weird shit that the two of us are personally interested in.
Schizo shit,
going schizo. According to some, it kind of honestly kind of in line with some of the stuff that you and I had already done. Just more of that, a little bit less being attached at the hip to the news cycle and beholden to what's going on week to week
on the timeline.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously that's, we're cursed to live in interesting times, so that's obviously still going to be a big part of the show. But yeah, man, I mean, what do you got to say? I mean, it was a quick intro. Dude. That's basically,
you know what, Slav? I think you crushed it, bro. I think you pretty much hit the bullet points. You went through there. You told the people what's up, what they needed to hear. I'm just glad to say, yeah, we're back like a phoenix from the ashes, baby. Stoked on it. Very excited for where this is going to be going.
The show goes on.
The show does go on. And yeah, we can't let these sickos get us down. So I guess, Slav, the only thing to do now is formally intro the show here.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do the fucking Captain Planet intro here.
Let's hit it, bro.
All right, dude. I'm Slav,
and I'm COH,
and these people are sick.
All
right, we'll get the synchronization.
Yeah, we'll get that shit down.
We'll get that locked in.
Yeah, but we'll clean it up for the listeners at home. We'll maybe make some cool little sample or something behind there, but you get the idea. It's gonna be tight.
Well, we're gonna get the fucking the Zencastr soundboard back, and
yes, sir.
Straight up, just shotgun cycling noises constantly.
Bro, we're gonna have to get Dr. Umar up in this bitch. A couple of his quotes. We're gonna have to get the doctor with the "eat the poo poo."
We do not like it. Well, okay, so all right. Well, fucking A. I mean, so many. We were just talking about this before we hit record and welcomed this gracious audience into this conversation. But there's actually like too many things to talk about, I feel like.
Yeah, per usual, I feel like really that's the old deluge kind of in action.
Yeah. Here, I'm sparking up real fast.
Oh, I mean, a little ganj, huh?
we're gonna become like a Doug Benson podcast. Like, it's just all about smoking weed.
We talk about strains and shit.
Yeah, no, dude, fucking shutting it down. I'm drinking black coffee out of one of those like pipe mugs, like a fucking bug man right now.
Yeah, dude. Are you actually?
No, dude. I'll need to be euthanized if I ever become that guy.
Dude, if I ever catch you doing some shit like that, dude, I'm gonna have to question our whole, agreement going forward here.
100%. But that did end up kind of being I'm gonna call it a good segue, because talking about pipes. Another kind of pipe in the news right now. Different kind of pipe. Talking about the Nord pipeline.
Ooh. Okay.
All right. Talking about our podcast is going to just kind of like how the last one was arguably birthed and themed around COVID from its inception. This is going to be a World War III podcast.
Yeah, we're gonna be giving bunker advice, telling you how to save up rations, the bug out bag, etc. The whole
Oh,
the whole
for sure,
nine.
for sure. We're gonna have a segment about dehydrating food properly.
Yo, that's sick. I actually kind
Yeah,
of want to do that. If we get a good dehydrator on, if anyone knows, send it to the email.
dude, you can actually get a pretty good dehydrator for I think like a reasonable chunk of change. I got my buddy just got one, to like just I don't know for like greens and dehydrating veggies and
Yeah,
shit. And it seems like a fucking good call.
you can make hella
You,
jerky and
I
stuff
was just
too.
gonna say that's my experience with dehydrators is making a fucking shitload of beef jerky, which is
Yeah.
really fucking easy, dude. Like the hardest part about it is just cutting it.
Yeah, it makes you wonder why it's so goddamn expensive, dude. You go in a gas station, it's the most expensive thing in there. It's like, yep, $14 if you want beef jerky. And it took only the cutting effort. We just put it into this shelf for a little while and let it
I
dry
mean, I
out in
guess
the air.
that's a good it's a good point. It's got to just be the labor. I feel like it's the labor that you're
Yeah.
paying for.
It's skilled labor, those cuts, so yeah.
That's true. That's true. I was making those cuts at one point.
I have
All
too,
right.
my friend. Deli sandwiches.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right.
Back to the pipe.
Nord Pipeline. What do you know about this?
Honestly, I don't know much. Obviously, I saw it happened. I know that it's a pipeline that is, goes from like Europe to Russia, transports gas or oil.
Right.
I know that there is multiple leaks apparently. It's in the Baltic Sea, and I know obviously gas, energy, oil is a very hot topic right now, specifically involving like Russia, Ukraine,
Yep.
etc. But I also know I saw some murmurings coming from you specifically, but others about like we did this, some talk of conspiracy. So I think
It
that
made
actually,
okay really fast. The way you said that, it made it sound like you said weed did this, and now I'm picturing like Doug Benson with like a weed pipe mug, like trying to operate the oil pipeline and just like
holy shit,
Chernobling it. Um,
that's
the-
incompetency right there at work.
that might be the thumbnail. So, yeah, no. So you got fucking. Oh my god, man. So I guess a couple days before you had U.S. drones like doing some bombing drills or something in the area. I mean, I'm gonna butcher the specifics about it.
Oh,
You
in
had
the
a
area of the pipeline.
yeah.
That
You
seems
had
sketchy off the bat.
not too long ago Biden warning about if Russia invades you. This is the thing that everyone's citing right here, right? Is the if Russia invades Ukraine, Nord can't happen. We're shutting that shit down, and it's actually kind of comical how like in unnecessarily he chose to say it in such an incriminating tone.
Yeah. God
Like he
bless
didn't.
him. He does that shit all the time. I feel like
Yeah,
he, for some reason, like he has a problem just putting emphasis on things at the worst and most improper times, and like
yeah,
not understanding that he's gonna be incriminating himself, or maybe he is, and he's just putting his nuts on the table, perhaps.
yeah. Being retarded does that.
Yeah.
Just having your fucking brain leak out of your fucking ear while you're leading the free world will do that to a motherfucker. Yeah, no, so I mean, okay, nobody's getting that sweet Russian energy. It's not happening, which is concerning to Germany's power grid. Which,
Europe.
I mean, they're just dead in the fucking water, right? They're just dead in the fucking water. This is such a profound blow to Europe, right? And of course, the libs are basically going to be taking the angle that this is fucking Vladimir Putin's. I already basically saw the like he wasn't loved enough as a child take of
Oh, of
basically
course.
just being like he's crazy. That's all it is. It's just, and if that's your analysis, I mean, you kind of just need to acknowledge you've basically run out of road. But
So are people accusing him of sabotaging his own pipeline that he stands to make lots of money off of?
yeah. No, that's basically, I think, going to be the narrative, is because, okay, I should say it's been, I don't know if confirmed is the right word, but it's been basically confirmed by I think the Swedish government.
Yeah, I've seen in the past day or two like a whole wave of different articles of like the UN has some specific council that looked into it or whatever, and they determined that it was likely a terrorist attack. And then I
Exactly.
saw
No one is
Russia
necessarily
too.
no one has necessarily confirmed that it was a specific nation, but it's like
Yeah.
it is accepted fact that it was. God, it's weird talking about any event anymore. Honestly, just ever. It's weird talking about any kind of global event as having accepted fact.
Dude, that's what I was gonna say, man. Holy shit.
Things don't actually really work that way. But I guess it's just a matter of if you believe it ever worked that way or not. But yeah, so I mean, I guess the common wisdom is basically just going to be that Russia punched itself in the dick so hard to just completely throw away their main bargaining chip in order to be a global political BPDGF. I don't know. It's like, it's incoherent, right?
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
incoherent.
I was sitting around trying to just figure this out. Like, what is the angle, right, on this? Like, what would be for Russia or Vladimir Putin or whatever way you want to view that, individually or as a state or whatever. What are they to gain from doing that? Like, I don't see what's good for them in blowing up their own pipeline, other than like they could be like, oh, this is an act of war or whatever. But they're already in on a war, so like they're not worried about like having cause to go to fight or whatever. I don't think, and I don't think that they want anything to do with like trying to get deeper into conflict with other nations. And so the only thing that I can really think about this would be that maybe it is someone that's not Russia, obviously. And I think that's what Russia is thinking too, and that's what they're proclaiming pretty loudly. Because I saw that they also came out and did their whole thing right after the UN had their whole meeting about, oh well, this was a terrorist thing. Russia said, yeah, this was a terrorism. It wasn't us. It looks like it was a state-backed terrorist attack. So they're like kind of pointing fingers. In our direction.
State-backed terrorist attack sounds redundant.
Yeah, it sounds a little crazy to me.
No. It just seems like it should go without saying for any terrorist attack.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, this is just an attack. Like, that's what they're doing.
Right.
Mean? That's just how it. To me, that's what terrorist attack is a little bit. Anyways, is a little redundant. Because a lot of it's like
exactly
what it's for.
It's always just a front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, listen, to all our European listeners, if you actually came over, which I hope you did, the energy situation hasn't been great. Okay, hasn't been great. Probably not going to get much better. It's probably.
I mean, like Trump, that whole little segment there. You're like, the energy system over there, guys. It's not great.
It's not great. Okay,
gonna get much worse.
I've gone a few years without even trying to do a Trump impression, I'm not going to break that run.
I can't even do an impression, but it sounded a bit like that for cadence.
Oh no, totally. The few people can, but that didn't stop anybody over the last like 6 years.
Oh God, yeah. Dude.
But anyways, they. I don't want to be indecent about it, so I'm just going to finish the bit, which is just. I'm feeling pretty fucking decent about the fact that I'm living in within the borders of a global superpower that has a tremendous amount of domestic energy reserves. We don't have immediate access to it, and this is certainly making the shutting down of various of a lot of domestic oil production seem
Mm-hmm.
a little fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
But it's here, and we're just sitting on it, and I'm feeling pretty solid about that. But honestly, I don't know. Heart goes. I mean, obviously, heart goes out to anybody who's potentially looking down the barrel of an unsafe situation in Europe right now.
Mm-hmm.
But
Or just living in Europe in general and not being in the United States. I mean, shit,
I mean, that's
that's
always
not
been the
great.
case, but especially now, for sure, dude. Um,
Yeah, I saw you're talking about them shutting down like oil and coal plants and stuff like that.
yep.
And it's interesting, like, they do it in the middle of energy crisis and stuff like that. And we don't have to go into the whole crisis and the discussion of like oil or not, and if it's good or not, and energy and sustainability or whatnot. But a lot of it's just because bureaucracy, like they've set these deadlines and like long ago, and they're like, we're just gonna have to hit these now. Like I saw this article, I don't know what country it was, maybe Belgium, I think, and they're having to shut down like a nuclear power reactor uh, that's like doing really well, hasn't had any issues, and is powering a lot of their city right now, or a lot of their country right now, because of the fact that they're having these energy issues. Like
Uh-huh.
costs are way up, so they're using their nuclear reactor. But due to anti-nuclear legislation that was passed, like, I don't know, a decade ago or whatever, this is a date that was listed in a few weeks, and so they're just having to shut it down. Just in the middle of all this, because like that's just what was set in stone through the legislation and just bureaucratic bullshit. And like there's just like no process to go back through all that right now.
Yep.
And so, just regardless of what's actually happening to people and what's happening in reality on the ground, it's just like just having the machines just kind of pushing it along. It's very strange. And it
Yeah, the
seems
wheels are
like a really
turning.
backward way to kind of like run your country or do energy at all, or planning really.
Well, it's almost like, and forgive me if this is totally crazy. I mean, I doubt anybody's said this online. But it's almost like there's a certain kind of air of like intentionality behind this. Almost like there's kind
Oh.
of like I don't know, like just kind of a decline that's being designed and managed.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, but I mean, I don't know. I
Like
mean,
a
some kind
kind
of
of
like,
reset of sort, maybe
yeah, like,
on a
but
grand
like,
scale.
yeah, like a good one. I don't know if it's good. It's great in scope,
Yeah,
certainly.
yeah, superlative, whatever it is.
Yeah, definitely a shitty reset. Um, yeah,
Yeah, some
shitty
could say
reset.
that's in the air for sure. I'm fully pilled. I don't even know what's going on with the pipeline, but I'm pilled on us probably doing something to fuck it up. You know what I mean? I feel like we're just sticking our hands in other people's pots, fucking up other people's shit all the time.
Oh,
So my
for sure.
baseline understanding of geopolitics is just like, oh yeah, we fucked it up probably, sure.
Yeah. Oh, are you telling me that the country that did fucking Iran Contra and fucking Bay of Pigs would do something like this? That's insane to me. That's insane. That
Feels
doesn't make any
unheard of.
sense, dude. Dude, death squads in South America? No.
Never.
Fucking no. It's impossible. Also, shitty reset might be the title of the episode.
Oh, dude, it's too good. All right. Yeah, write that one down.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Let's not get too meta about it, though. Let's not go up our own asses. I mean, I don't know. What more is there to really say about Nord Pipeline? It fucking sucks. It's the most likely that we've gotten to World War III. I don't.
I'm tired of us just having pipelines that are just like rupturing into shit all the time. I feel like there's a way to like, I know this was probably terrorism. This was probably an intentional act that sabotaged it, right? But like, it harkens back obviously to the Deepwater Horizon. It harkens back to like
Okay.
so many other water spills. And I didn't even know, like when I first saw it, I just saw a picture someone posted online of like a oil spill, this one, and they were like, been
So
known as
saw that
this.
picture. Saw that picture of Hunter Biden photoshopped into it, like snorting it like a pile of coke.
Bro, I did not see that. I do like that though. I
Oh
can
yeah.
conjure that up in my mind without needing to see it.
Like a review. It's like a film festival review of that picture. I do like that. COH.
Yeah, man. I don't know though. it's frustrating. It's sad on a lot of levels. There's obviously like environmental destruction that's going to be happening. That's really sad, and it's not great. And our oceans are already pretty fucked with microplastics and stuff. So that's a
And
whole other
every
level to
other
it.
oil spill. I mean, like
Yeah.
that is the ocean related headline that you see always ever.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't there's not ocean news. Like there's not a lot of ocean celebrities having fucking retardedly named babies. It's just like it's just fucking look at this just like shit ton of poison we're dumping into the to
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
crazy, which honestly I'm completely fine with because the ocean is an intrinsically evil place. The sea
Oh,
is
spit on
indifferent.
it.
Yeah. I'm. This is me.
He's a
This is.
cruel winch.
Mhm. Oh, don't even get me started on. Well, this is me. This is me. Market testing my own brand of space is fake.
Oh,
Is
nice.
just
Yeah.
is just
Yeah.
saying, fuck, dude, fuck them. They want to say save the whales. Fuck them whales. The ocean is fucking evil.
Mm-hmm.
It existed before God's creation in the Bible.
The dark, murky
It
waters.
it holds unknown as well as unknowable horrors. I don't want any part of it. I don't want any part
Yeah.
of it. I go out to the ocean and I'm trivialized and I'm laughed at, and I don't like that. I don't like that. Fuck the whales. Fuck them. If there was an equivalent to the NASA craft fucking crashing and getting destroyed for the ocean, like James Cameron going underground and getting crushed into a fine paste by like just the pressure of the sea bearing down on top of him, I would be smitten. Because then I wouldn't get another fucking Avatar movie.
Oh
Um,
Lord, dude. Two birds, one stone with that.
Two
I'll
birds,
tell
one
you what.
stone. I am the segue fucking master. We're back, baby. Let's talk space.
Well, real quick, I just want to finish up with your whales thing. All right, we don't need to
Fuck them.
save the whales. We need to lock them up. Let's get some more Shamus going. Let's get more Sea Worlds built. Tourism dollars through the roof, and let's figure out what these bastards are hiding down there. Because they're full of secrets, dude. You know they are. They're big old boys.
Oh
They
yeah,
got secrets.
there's some fucking hidden Nazi gold down there or some shit, dude. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, Ark of the Covenant or something.
Ark of the Covenant, dude. Let's go.
Yeah, but space, dude. All right. So you mentioned the asteroid crash thing, which is really
Yep.
like okay. I don't want to spend too much time on the space topic because I'm sure that any of our listeners that are here that came from the Fed Post, I'm sure
Which I'm
they
assuming is every single person that ever listened to it is
yeah.
here listening now.
I hope so. Otherwise, I mean, fuck those other people that aren't here listening now. And if you're new and you never listened to the Fed Post, fucking hell yeah, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, I hope this
Um,
is coherent.
but anyways, yeah. So you probably know my stances on space. If not, I'm just skeptical generally of just like our conception of it.
Space
Um,
questioning, I think.
yeah, space questioning, space skeptical is kind of the way I like to frame it. And I'm not sitting around saying that like we're in a dome or like space isn't real entirely. I'm saying it's possible it's not, and it's possible we're in a dome. I don't think so, right? I operate under the reality, since everyone else does generally, that space is real and up there, and so I just kind of take that for a given. But I also operate in a world where I realize that like what we take as a given in reality is not really ever truly a given, and it's
Listen,
not really the
listen,
base reality.
listen. If you want to base your tangible worldview on some fucking particles of light that you saw through a couple little sheets of glass in a tube,
Mm-hmm.
that's on you, but that's not my path. All right.
Yeah,
That's not the choices I'm making. All right.
yeah,
That's
I'm right
not
down here with it. I mean, I'm
I'm
here
I'm
for
right down here with it. This desk in front of me, like I don't need a fucking
it.
$1 billion telescope to tell me that exists.
Yes,
Nor would
sir.
I necessarily trust that $1 billion telescope if it was saying it's a million billion miles away. And actually it's like you're just seeing a vision of it from a long time ago. I don't like this. I don't
Oh
like
my
it.
god, that
This is
shit's the
like the
craziest
ocean.
thing to me.
How
It's
how
it's just
long the
Yeah,
the
no,
site
people just
takes.
saying you can see back into time or whatever. They'll be like, "Yeah,
Right.
dude, we got this strong telescope. We're gonna see back to the beginning of time." Just fucking get out of here, bro. And that's just kind of like the whole ideology with all of it. It's like this whole like science is gonna make us, kings of the universe and masters of the universe and masters of reality and all
Will
this. And
become as gods.
yeah, we'll become as gods as we're meant to be and all this. And I don't
Mm,
really fuck with that. I don't think it's a healthy way to live. And I think that's deeply tied into like all of this. Like, I think that this pro space age kind of space futurism thing is a lot of that,
mhm.
or at least driven by a lot of that. And I don't really like it. And I also don't like the fact that if it is up there, the only people that really have access to it are a select few, right? It's going to be people with money like Jeff Bezos and his Sky Blue or whatever the fuck it's called, and Elon Musk with his SpaceX, and all these fuckers that are sick as hell. These people are sick, and they're going into outer space. And I don't really fuck with that because if it is real, we're going to go up there and fuck it up. So either way, I'm kind of out on the whole thing, and I find it a little bit ridiculous, honestly, a lot of it. And so when
Mhm.
I'm scrolling Twitter and I come across this video that's allegedly real footage, like it's not meant to be computer graphics or anything, or a
Allegedly.
rendition or anything. It's
Yeah,
supposed to be
it's not
from a
like
camera.
it's not like those fucking like Discovery Channel dinosaur shows.
Yo,
That
bro,
like
those were
that
sick.
dude, which like that's just American anime.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, what if a T-Rex fought a fucking saber tooth? Let's
Yeah,
just check it out.
it's the dumbest shit in the world, dude. That's like if there was a world with no if there was a world that was only women, there would never be a show like that.
No, dude.
That's just a bunch of autistic men
Yes.
like with a budget.
Sitting around with like action figures of like fucking T-Rexes and stuff, and they're like, man, if only these could be animatronic. Like,
Just like humming the John Williams fucking da, 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 da.
holy shit. But yeah, that's kind of when I see this video and it's meant to be real footage, and it looks to me like something from the She-Hulk or some other Marvel universe like recent film with grainy CGI and shit.
Right.
It's immediately skeptical of me. I get a good chuckle out of it. It's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, right, and you just keep scrolling. So if you haven't seen this video, I suggest you look it up. It's the Dart, DART, uh, crashing into an asteroid, and they did it on purpose. It's meant to be an asteroid defense system. Like, ideally, if they hit it hard enough, it changes the trajectory of an asteroid, and it like if it was coming towards Earth, they could hit it and like knock it off its course or
Did it work?
explode it or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what to do.
You don't give a fuck. You don't fucking care, dude. You're like that's like lending more credibility. That's lending legitimacy to it that it doesn't deserve.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Because I saw it, and I was like, I mean, fuck it. This probably isn't even real. So like, goddamn, I don't know if it worked or not. I mean, they're gonna say it did. You know what I mean? No matter
Sure.
what they say, who fucking knows? So, anyways, I see the video. It's obviously fake, or it looks to me to be fake. Look it up. It's very funny. I don't deny that asteroids exist though. Like, and I
Okay.
think that right. I think that there is a celestial body around us. I think that there are things like asteroids and comets and such that occur. I just think that the way we paint it out is just a little bit off. I think that we
Also,
use very materialistic framing to kind of think of the whole thing.
yeah, I'll say I too am less markedly less skeptical of asteroids because asteroids seem kind of scary and like they would immediately affect me. And so I'm definitely a little bit more open to the idea of an asteroid.
Yeah.
Um,
And protecting us from it. Like, if you could blow one of those up, if we do find out that like there is an asteroid coming that killed the dinosaurs allegedly, if something like that's coming back, yeah, I mean it'd be nice to blow it up. You know what I mean? Or get it out of here. So if
dude, for
that's a
sure,
real
shoot
thing,
some nukes at it, dude. Honestly,
yeah.
this is my message to world leaders. You know, why don't you put those nukes to good use? Why don't
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
get rid of all the asteroids? Just shoot
Get
them
rid
up
of the
there.
Taurid meteor stream. Let's go ahead and get it out of here, guys. We don't need
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Let's unite. Let's unite behind, and then at that point, we're just bombing space. Fuck space. Let's
Yeah.
go. I
Well,
mean,
now we're fucking it up. See, that's
now we're fucking it up. Now it's the war on space, which is something I can get behind.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it's
don't
a
know, man. I mean, isn't this shit expensive as fuck?
Yes, it's a
And
literal vacuum to throw money into. And that's what's so frustrating to me about the whole thing. Like that's another thing that's just so goddamn frustrating is because the Hubble telescope thing, the new telescope that they made, literally decades it took them to build this thing, to make the technology, the millions of dollars, all the money they're pouring into it. This is money that could be like tangibly helping people. Like this is money that could go to better causes. I mean, there's so much of that though, so it seems nitpicky to even say that about this, but it's so much money. It's so much money, and
well, I
it's
think
not for
they're
any of us. So like,
well. Don't tell them. Don't tell them there's some fucking some fucking Ukrainians up there, or they'll fucking spend more, dude. There's something. There's some joke about how maybe they're like looking for factories to make more baby formula, but I can't come up with anything right now. I don't know. It's a fucking joke, dude. I mean, like, I know that somebody can do the well actually and just be like, these are completely different things, but like, I don't know, man. A lot of people are gonna fucking starve to death
yeah,
in the next couple of years with the way everything's going. I I don't give a fuck about this shit. I don't
yeah.
give a fuck about this shit, and I think it seems like really obvious. It feels like at least 5 years ago, we all kind of got on the same page about the fact that the idea of like running off into space is like an incoherent
I mean, it's retarded.
solution.
Yeah, that's one thing too that frustrates me with the whole thing is because yeah, the end goal for a lot of these space agencies like SpaceX or whatever is to start colonies on Mars or on the moon. And
Right.
like Elon Musk wants to run colonies up there and let you get a free trip up there as long as you agree to be an indentured servant essentially. I mean, these things are crazy. Like what why are we heading in that direction?
It's
What
just gonna
good does
be
that do for anybody?
it's just gonna be sorry to bother you, but like on the moon.
Yeah, no, for real. It really will. They'll be turning us into fucking Martians though instead of horses. It'll be crazy. I don't know, man. I don't know. That whole thing is just a little crazy to me. And now they're gonna be spin this. Apparently, they're sending people back to the moon. That's like the new big thing. They got some new thing NASA's doing called Artemis that I haven't even heard about until my friend was over the other day, and he was like, "You hear about the Artemis launch that didn't go into space?" And I was like, "Dude, what the
Mhm.
fuck are you talking about?" And apparently, this is a big project. They're sending people to the moon, and I'm thinking, all right. And it's the first time that we've gone to the moon allegedly since we apparently went there back in, who knows, 1960 something, 68, somewhere around there. It's the first time we've gone back there, apparently, if we ever went in the first place. And it's what, 70 something years now. Um, it's been difficult because they've had to figure out how to go back there because apparently they just lost the knowledge um, within one agency over the course of 50 years. Meanwhile, like Egyptians and stuff kept records for literally millennia, but
Right.
we in NASA, with apparently the brightest minds in the country, can't keep a couple documents and a little bit of technology about how we got to the moon, the biggest achievement that we apparently have made in the country. So anyways, they're apparently sending people back up there, and they're sending up a ship first, like it's gonna make a base up there. Then they're gonna send up people up there, and then the next step from there is like they're gonna try to send people to Mars. Um, and so the moon thing, that's just like it's a couple of there's a couple things to poke into there, which is like obviously why have we not gone back up there if we were able to go back up if we were able to go there in the 60s? How do we lose this technology? Is it just incompetency
Mhm.
through bureaucracy, which is running through a bunch of the country, or is it that we never went up there? There's a lot of fun stuff with the moon to poke into that we can maybe get into a little bit next week with our boys Rare Candy, Crypto Sci, and Glenn Rockney. Shout out. But yeah, we can poke into that a bit. And then also, I look on the website. I'm like, what is Artemis about? Because I don't have a fucking clue. I haven't seen any promo for it or anything.
Right.
I haven't heard a president or a congressman or whatever talk about it. You think they would? And I'm looking, and literally the first paragraph on there says, "quote With Artemis missions, NASA will land the first woman and the first person of color on the moon." And that's literally the first objective. The first objective they list for why we're going to the moon. We're not going to the moon for any tangible reason, apparently, other than just to fucking make a signal that we're inclusive.
Well,
Like,
this is I want to speak on this actually because this is the most important. Like, there's well, I don't mean to cut you off. I
no,
mean,
you're good. You're good.
okay, like the actual okay. There's like the money aspect of it, and that's like whatever, right? Like, yeah, they spend a lot of fucking money on it, and like, no, I would rather they not. But if it's something's like a good enough cause, right? Like, no price too high kind of thing.
Yeah.
The real issue and the whole fucking point of this stuff from day one is to have like a cultural project, like,
Yes. Hmm.
and people can call me a fucking lib for talking about this maybe, but like having something we're all building towards. I reference it often, but I love that the fucking meme uh showing, the 5-year plan of China, and it's
Oh
like
yeah.
a cross country rail system, and all of these
Hmm.
amazing
Hmm.
things that they're not going to be able to accomplish because their population's collapsing,
Yeah.
and then and then like 5-year plan of the United States, and it's just like uh the next 30 Marvel movies, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
uh People with like, we're in a crisis of we hmm, people need a meta narrative,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And that's the actual value that space has. That's the actual value that space has. It has to be this early on, and this is the optimistic take, this early on in the effort, because when it's this early on, and the technology is not there, right? It's the
Hmm.
symbolic grand shared meta narrative we'll have
Yeah.
as a civilization, and the science facts can kind of like, you know whisper platitudes about this being like a shared human project across nation lines, which, obviously I got a fucking pipe in the Baltic Sea to say otherwise, right? But the point is that like, this doesn't work. This is a waste of time, because like, it's not a meta narrative that
Yes.
actually works at all. And I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is. It might be because like the future never came, right? And like,
Mm.
people are just it's like the year 2000 came and went, and it just the story just kind of kept going.
Yeah.
I don't know. I certainly don't have an answer that's less abstract and just like say nothing than that. Um, but the fact, it doesn't surprise me at all that the first bullet point they have that you were just mentioning is talking about, you know, putting the first woman in person
Yeah.
of color on the moon, because that's them showing like it's the meta narrative, right?
It's
That's
literally
what it's
faking
supposed to be.
gay.
Yeah. Well, right, and like, well, but in a way, like in a way, like it's supposed to be faking gay, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
because it's the inspiration, but it's just funny. It's just funny how like, yeah, I mean, like, it's almost it almost feels like they even know that it's not a viable strategy anymore,
Yeah.
and so because of that, they're just like, yeah, I mean, like, this aspiration that this is going to like represent as the spectacle is gonna be one that's like fundamentally just for like the top 15% economic elites
Yeah.
culturally in this country,
And
and
Star
like,
Wars fans or something, you know.
yeah, well, they're gonna put like a BB-8 droid up there. Um,
Fuck.
yeah, I don't know. It's just
Yeah.
interesting.
I mean, dude, that's one of the
The
things, right?
symbolism is the project.
Exactly. And like I go on there, I look it up, and that's the first fucking bullet point I see, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this whole thing is fake. Like, you know what I mean? Like, space is fucking fake. You know, if this is the project that it's tied up to. It's this meaningless fucking signal, literally
Mhm.
platitudes, nothing. It's not for anybody. It's not a material project. It's not something that people can get behind. And I think you're right. I think that they know, because like I was saying, I haven't seen shit about this thing. I watch sports every weekend, so that's like where they'll put ads for like upcoming shit or whatever. I've
Okay.
not seen anything on there about this new space mission. I haven't heard any politicians talk. You would think if this was going to be the cultural meta narrative, motherfuckers would be pumping it up. They'd be pumping it up fat, and they'd be like, all right, guys, we're going back to the moon. This is America's shit. We're back. putting women up there. But I think what it really is I think they thought that was going to be hot. They thought that was going to be the thing when they made this whole plan 10 years ago, or 5 years ago or whatever. They were like, because these things are long works, sending building spaceships and getting the crews together and making the plans and shit like that. So they had to start this whole thing a handful of years ago. So I imagine they probably were like, all right, this is going to be the shit. We're going to put women up there, we're going to put a black person up there, it's going
Right.
to be revolutionary, everyone's going to love it, that's the tide right now, and it's going to be super hot. And then it just got locked into place, like the bureaucracy thing we were talking about with the oil plants or with the nuclear power plants being shut down, where now it's just set into action. And then 5-6 years go by and the tide's turning a little bit on some of this whole, everyone's just starting to, I think everyone's starting to see through a little bit of the woke stuff. And you can argue that, people can argue whatever on that, but I think that your average person, even people that are eating it up, I think everyone's just like, this is not really anything. I think everyone knows deep down it isn't. And so the tide's turning on that a little bit more so now than it was, say, 3-4 years ago. And I think that, or even 2 years ago. And I think that is causing it to be something that's not going to be a true uniting cultural meta narrative. It never was going to be in the first place, because it's not anything meaningful, or it's not like anything really for vast swaths of people. And like we're saying, it's just an empty platitude. And I agree that a culture meta narrative, I think that's a strong thing. I think that's what a nation needs. I think that's what people need generally. Like, I think
Mhm.
it's a good thing in a healthy society. People are working towards something, right? You have a plan. We're going to make our society better in X way, or we're going to build X thing that's going to be, a monument, or that's going to be just so great and grand, or, whatever it is. But I think that's important. But this is not that. And it's frustrating because we can't even, they keep trying to churn out these meta narratives, and they're all just nothing. It's just it, and it grabs maybe 30%, 40% of the population for a bit, and then like it really just dwindles down until it's just the true believers, and then they try to figure some new thing out. And I don't know, it's frustrating because we do need something. We need to gather around a community plan or some type of ideal of a better future in order to work towards it, or a thing to work towards. I think it brings people together. It gives like a little bit of like a meaning, you're working towards a goal. It's helpful. And
Well,
like, for instance, dude, I was at this like ancient like a Native American site, and there's like mounds and stuff like that. And I'm walking around with a buddy, and he was like, "Man, dude, I wish we just had something like this. Like, I wish that like we were building something." And this guy's not even a political person or anything like that. He's not talking about return or anything. And he was like, "I'd be happy to be a fucking Native American if I just like and just build this mound all day long." You know what I mean? Because it's like something that the community is working towards. That's like something they all believed in. It's like it's a shared community project, and it's a common goal, and it's something you can make tangible progress to with marketable benchmarks. And I think that stuff like that's important to have in a healthy and functioning society. And it's sad that we have an inability to produce one, and b, totally corrupt, despicable individuals who are at the helms of our country anyways, sick individuals, one would say. So where you would never even want to buy the culture narrative they're selling in the first place, even if it was something that was kind of alluring.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think, I think the main thing is in the initial alleged moon landing. Uh, it's progress for it's one small step for man, yada yada, all that shit,
Yeah.
right? Um, and it's kind of this like universally, again, we're all taking part in this grand experiment, yada yada, and you can
And we're
make,
trying to beat the Russians, bro.
yeah, no, of course. That's, I mean, that's most of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that doesn't, it's, I mean, to be honest, I that was the whole unifying story of the time generally, right? I mean, it's just, that's what everything was for,
Yeah,
right? And so yeah,
absolutely.
I think that that's kind of assumed, but like that's a given. But it's kind of for everybody, and you can make the argument very easily, like, oh, it's just for middle class white people, and you'd be really annoying if you did that. Not you specifically, just the general you. But uh, it is funny just how the equivalent of it these days is, I don't know, it's a symbolic disciplinary measure against a huge swath of the population,
Yeah.
right? That's, generally not as wealthy. Um, it's just interesting. It's just it's. I mean, it is culture war. It is culture war.
Yeah.
You can't like deny that. Like it is. It's. I mean, it's basically like kind of like all of mention of that stuff, whether people want to acknowledge it or say that it's their intention or not, that stuff is kind of like snide and shitty to a
Mm-hmm.
huge group of people, just by context alone. And yeah, so I mean that's kind of the meta narrative there, is that, which is interesting. I don't know. I mean, I might sound a little melodramatic about it, but it's funny. It's funny. It's hilariously petty.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just really illustrative of the whole space thing. Like that, the whole mindset, it's tied into the entire package that they're trying to sell.
well,
Uh,
it is kind of like what I said a second. Like it. I mean, it is for this upper crust, highly educated, science is so fucking cool crowd,
yeah.
that actually pay the New York Times to read their dog shit articles.
Yeah, maybe they're gassing it up in there, actually. That's probably where they're spending most of their promotion and marketing funds.
Well, okay, all right, so what are we talking about here? We're talking about science, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what conversation about science is complete anymore without uh just a breathless, furious conversation about COVID vaccines?
Oh, yeah. Man, I didn't know where you were going to go with that because
I don't know.
I
Actually,
feel like there was a
I
fork.
introed that in a weird way, though. To be fair,
You
I
could
made
have
it.
ended that with gender or with race or with fucking vaccines, with COVID, with anything, dude. But yeah,
Yeah. So the vax. What was this fucking headline I saw the other day? It's COVID vaccine showing up in breast milk of nursing mothers. Um, which honestly, I don't know how new this really is, because I kind of thought that that's
I thought that's just what happened.
well, I thought that that's something that they had said already, but I might be mixing it up for like babies still, pregnant broads, people that are
Yeah.
still pregnant. Um, I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean,
I,
neither of us got vaccinated.
no.
I'm
Hell no.
as time goes on, um, I mean, I'm more and more thankful that I didn't.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
And
worse and worse shit comes out. Only bad shit could come out about it from here on out. You know what I mean? Like the best thing
yeah,
that it could have done is, oh, it would keep you from getting COVID, and it didn't even. So the only thing that it could even happen now is just bad shit. Like all you could hear about it in the news is just, oh, some new bad thing we just found out about. Because it's not going to do anything else that's good. It was meant to just do one thing good, and it didn't even do that.
right. Do you know anybody who's getting this new booster that I guess is like being recommended against by tons of normies?
No, I mean, but most of the people that I know and interact with on a day-to-day basis are like people who are roughly around my age, give or take 5 to 10 years. So younger people and not people who are generally plugged into like caring about any of that shit. Just because I'm pretty self-selective with who I'm around.
We're in
And
very different spaces.
yeah, exactly. Like I'm able to be that way a little bit more here,
Hmm.
just where I live, just culturally and socially here. So it's a lot easier for me to kind of get away from that in general. And then also my work situation is I only work with a couple people, and they're not people who are super worried about any of that shit either. So I don't know anyone personally. I don't, at least I don't think I do, but I've definitely seen obviously and heard about it on the news. I actually turn on the local news here for the first time yesterday, because I was trying to check out, like, see what was going on with that hurricane that's going on down south. Really bad hurricane in Florida, like crushing
Is it
people. So
Hurricane Ian?
Ian, yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was like,
Ian Ian Miles Chong.
oh fuck, bro, he's a natural disaster.
He is a fucking
Um,
natural disaster. The fucking Chungus hurricane.
Yo, for real. But yeah, so I turned it on to just to check that out real quick. And by the way, shout out to all of our people in Florida. I hope you guys are safe. I hope you evacuated. I hope
Yeah,
you
Ron
guys.
DeSantis, friend of the show.
Yes, sir. Yeah, good old boys, friend of the show. Also Florida residents. So, anyways, I just wanted to see what that was about, and I turned on the news, and they're talking about get your updated boosters, get this, get that. So, I mean, it's definitely something they're trying to sell. I don't know anyone personally. I'm sure your case is a little different.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's fun. I mean, I'm fucking surrounded by libs, dude. I'm like,
Oh, dude.
I'm dying inside a little bit every day. But I mean, I really don't know a whole lot of people that that are getting this thing. I know one older gentleman who is, and the conversation I had with them about it was basically pretty take it or leave it. Yeah, whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, they know somebody who urged against it, and they're just like, well, fuck it. I didn't have anything bad happen with the other ones, so I mean, I guess I'm getting it. But even that was like, that's as forceful as the pitch was getting at this point.
Yeah.
Um,
You
I
gotta have really lost it to be like trying to convince people to get this, especially even to get it yourself. I feel like, but to try to convince other people to push a hard line on it or take any level of confidence in it, you've got to have really gone off your rocker for real, or be
yeah
old as hell. Just be super old, and I get that, right? You might have concerns or whatever. I don't know. You don't have that much long left, so it's like you're not worried about kids or whatever, having kids. So like, you know, you have maybe less risk or whatever from the vaccine. You're not worried about so many long term stuff. You're just trying to not get a sickness like the flu and die. So I get it, I guess, whatever. But if you're like a regular human being that's healthy and you're going out and getting this new updated booster, you're lost.
yeah uh yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just the proof is in the pudding. I was talking about this the other night, um, and I mean, what? Uh, to me, it seems like it's just about getting that number of your likelihood of getting it, and potentially getting fibromyalgia from it, or I mean, because that's what it is now. Basically, the best I can figure, because I'm surrounded by this neuroticism all the fucking time. The best I can figure is long COVID is the best case on selling people on this stuff. Which again, this is mostly young people doing this. I mean, young people are the people wearing the masks. Old people
Mm-hmm.
are barely wearing masks. Um, it's just about getting that number down to as close to zero as you can. And when you're getting to those lower and lower numbers, 0.05, right? Um, it's like a fucking layer cake, dude. It's just these thin, it just sheafs of
Yeah,
paper,
yeah,
and you're doing everything you possibly can so that you can say, if you got it, that you did everything you possibly can, or or when you're worried about getting it and there's that
yeah.
uncertainty, because life has uncertainty, because like we're finite beings that are going to die someday, and I could step outside and have, get hit by a fucking car. um like it's an incredible that's an incredible thing to have to like grapple with. And this is about that. This isn't about
Yeah.
COVID. It's about getting that number just a little closer to zero, and people fucking do whatever, dude. And
People would drink baby's blood and shit, bro.
many
Yeah, many
cases.
such
And
cases. These
those
people
same
are sick.
people, yeah, I mean, those same people might, base that around some kind of like, in the basement of some pizza restaurant, if you will. I mean, I don't
Like
know,
some
but
sort of demonic pagan ritual of some
uh,
sort.
something like that. I don't know. Have some a significant amount of emails about walnut sauce. I don't know, that'd be weird. But who would do that? Fuck, what was I talking about?
You're talking about young people getting the vaccine, trying to do
Yeah,
everything
it's
they
just
can to pad their lives and not and have control over when they're
it's
gonna
just
die or
it's
not.
just like it's just an unhealthy coping strategy toward like dealing with uncertainty
Yeah, yeah.
and just doing everything you possibly can. And it's just I think that there's probably the best case for most people is just basic laziness. I think most people are just going to be like, well, I mean, if it's fucking nothing, which everything to this point was nothing in the best reading of the situation, because it wasn't nothing. It's actively really bad for people. I know several people who have had visits to the hospital from this at this point, but uh, in the best case scenario, this has been nothing up until this point. Why should I get off my ass to go get this thing that my doctor's barely even recommending I get? Right.
Hmm.
Um, that's gonna be the case for most people. I think it's really a shame that like what the discourse, just the bullshit around this did with people with regards to vaccine injury and things like that,
Hmm.
that like people won't fucking consider that at all. I mean, I'm talking to somebody I know uh about it, and it is just like, we know now, that the risks associated with this thing are basically nil, right?
Yeah.
And so, even if you're not a big believer in the potential hazards of vaccines, I mean, with these numbers we're talking about here, um it's not really rational to not take that into your arithmetic. And there's just that mental block because they turn themselves into fucking monsters, you know disowning half their family or something. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but I don't know, man. I mean, it seems it this kind of seems like a little bit of a nail in a coffin as far as boosters go. Now, of course, that's easy
Yeah.
to say because we're not really touching on the fact that like there are probably people whose jobs are mandating them to get this. And fucking
Oh, I'm sure there are people who
heart
work in any
always,
type of medical industry.
yep, and like heart always, genuinely heart goes out to those people. Maybe less of the medical industry because fucking scumbags, but um,
No, what
and
are you
I
talking
like
about, man? Those people are superheroes, bro. Them and the Avengers, they're like holding it down for us, keeping us safe.
yeah. My favorite, some of my favorite dancers on the internet.
Yeah, fantastic dancers, these
Just,
nurses.
just really great stuff. Um, just like
Yeah,
imagining
dude.
like Michael Jackson's doctor being like, if I kill him, I'll get his dancing powers.
Holy
Uh,
fuck. He's like, let's get him pumped up a propofol so I can learn how to do that fucking backward slide thing that he does.
Shamona. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. It's
Oh,
just
the moonwalk is what that one's called, actually. Shout out the moon. Callback.
um yeah, man. I don't know. I still know. Well, yeah, I don't want to go too much into it as far as like people I know who've had bad experiences with the vaccine. But at this point, like it seems like a lot of people know at least somebody who like had a bad time with this thing. And I'm
Yeah.
being kind of sarcastic with having a bad time. I'm not talking about an arm ache. I'm talking about
Hospital issues.
hospitalization. And in cases I'm aware of, I'm talking over a year, trips to the hospital, really, really, really big stuff.
Yeah.
That you don't really hear too much anymore about the whole. Well, if you got it from the vaccine, you were gonna get it from COVID in the first place. Like you're not really hearing much of that anymore, right?
Yeah,
Um,
people just don't engage with the stories of vaccine issues really at all. Just
well,
in that
there's
way, it creates a vacuum so they can just kind of keep plowing over it.
Yeah, I mean, this is trite, but there's such a deluge of information that I mean, you don't have to outright hide anything or lie even about a whole ton. You just like make sure that like the kind of information that your team's diet is made up of just like doesn't have a very big portion of that, right?
Yeah,
So, oh yeah,
exactly.
okay, myocarditis, I've heard of that, but I mean, that only accounts for like 2 minutes of news coverage I saw. The other 90 was, how uh, fucking trans teachers are being discriminated against. They actually have it worse than black slaves did. A
Dude, fuck
new
it.
Slate study showed.
Let's put the trans folks on the moon. I think that's the most inclusive thing we can do, dude. They're talking about sending the
Sure,
first woman up there. Let's just send the trans people up there. We
little
can build them
space
a base and
space
stuff. Let
colony.
them, yeah, man, let them colonize that shit. They can be the colonizers. They can have a chance to rewrite history in a positive way if they want to. Do their
Fucking
own thing.
just like a soft reboot of like Event Horizon, but it's like an all trans cast.
Dude, that'd be crazy.
Yeah, all right. Hold on. I'm literally crossing my legs to not piss right now.
Word.
Let's pause. And
Yeah.
honestly, we can even just keep this in for authenticity. Just like stop and then I'll be right back.
Word.
Whatever. I
Yeah.
mean, this is
Now we can just
fucking
splice these two
VH1
together.
this is VH1 behind the music right here.
Yeah. And I figured it'd be good, like, to not just leave it running and then have to edit all that out. And I thought we just start it up and just squish them together. But
Perfect.
yeah, it's whatever. I think we kind of were starting to segue into a little bit. There's a quick little topic we can touch on because I know that we're not trying to be too beholden to the timeline. I know, obviously, we don't want to get into territory where, we might start going a little bit off the reservation. But definitely, I wanted to touch a little bit on this whole thing with the trans broad with the outrageously cartoonish fake tits.
So this is some Canadian dude.
Yes.
That
Okay,
looks
and that's what makes it so much even worse because fucking Canucks are off their rocker completely. And they're doing the craziest shit up there. They're taking people away, like kids away from their parents if they don't vaccinate them, taking kids away from their parents if they won't do gender confirming surgeries. Like they're doing crazy shit up there. And that's beyond like the stuff we already know about with the vaccine stuff that they've been putting into place and how strict they were with all that. Um, Canadians are losing it. And this dude here is a prime example. Uh, so there's a picture going around. You can just literally Google trans teacher huge tits and it'll come up immediately. Now, you might not want that in your search history because people might just you see that come up, they're like, what are you looking into, bro?
just
But
incognito window. It's fine.
yeah, pull up the private browser, Google trans teacher huge tits, and
I
I'm
mean,
sure this is gonna be the first.
who hasn't already Googled that in an incognito window here or there, right?
Just been
It's
research, just checking it out.
Yeah. Listen, we're all guys here. It's fine. We're just having a good time.
But anyways, look that up. You'll get a look at this specimen. This individual is, and here's okay. So this person's got tits that are like double two watermelons big, and they have absurd nipples on them, like that are the size of like I don't even know a fucking like I don't know, big. They're big, like saucer type nipples, and they're protruding. These are very noticeable. They are obnoxiously
they're
noticeable.
they're protruding.
Yeah, they look like they're fired up and ready to go.
We got like
And
a 30% on the protrusion factor for
yeah,
sure.
and these nipples are erect, and this is what the issue is here is that well, there's a lot of issues here to unpack. You take a look at that image, and you can think of 12 to 20 issues without even knowing this person's a teacher that teaches children.
Mhm.
And they dress like this to school. And it's not even fake tits. It's not like they went out and had a cosmetic surgery. They had top surgery or something. And this is what it created. And like, it's just inside their body. And like, we accept as a part of their body now or whatever. This is someone that put on like essentially like a necklace that has huge knockers on the bottom of it. Like they put on like a fat suit upper and it's just tits. Like it's a sex toy essentially. It's something that you put on and you can take off. And this person has it on and is choosing to wear that
Wait, that's
into
what the
a
tits are.
yes.
Oh.
And they're choosing to wear this into a public setting, and not just a public setting, which is worse, bad enough already. But I mean, you want to take that into a Walmart or whatever, no one's gonna stop you. But instead, no, this person's teaching children. I don't know how old they are because I didn't really look into it that much, but I know that this is a teacher, a school teacher, and that the board is backing this individual and saying this is actually okay. When there have been parent and student protests at the school involving this issue since it became kind of big news, like, and at least in certain circles a few days ago, maybe a week ago, I don't know.
Yeah.
And there's been parents like, okay, dude, if I walked into fucking meet your parent or meet your teacher day or whatever, and I'm like, parent teacher day, there we go.
Mhm.
If I walked into that and I see this creature there, I'm gonna be pulling my kid out of school, bro. They're not being around this person.
Isn't
And
like one
God
of the
bless them.
funniest parts? Isn't this one of the funniest parts? Is this dude like teaches like woodshop. This is like the woodshop teacher. Like I
Wait,
saw like,
really?
yeah. Well, I mean, I at least saw videos of just like this dude with just these like huge like Gallagher watermelon titties, just like using a fucking like buzzsaw.
That can't even be safe. Literally cannot even be safe. I bet there's some sort of OSHA regulation against it. Man,
Well,
dude.
that would be discrimination. So.
Oh, fuck. I don't know, dude. Woodshop, obviously, too, just like the most dude class to teach at a school. So
Yeah, it's
let's
almost
just, I
like
mean,
sorry,
fuck.
continue.
I don't know. These people are sick, dude. It made me sick looking at it. I
Mhm.
don't want them teaching children. It shouldn't be okay. You can be trans and teach children. I'm not gonna be like full on like burnt earth on this whole thing, but you definitely can't do that and teach children.
Mhm.
At the same time, for sure. You want to do that on your own time at home, whatever. You know what I mean? I don't love it. I don't think it's good behavior, but you can do it. You know what I mean? It's fine. I got nothing to do with it. But don't bring that into fucking schools, into children, and like,
Yep.
don't bring clearly sexual stuff around children. They don't need that. Like, that's, I don't know who thinks it's okay and what right mind and why it is that apparently socially as a society we're supposed to be accepting of that. I don't understand it. It is revolting.
Oh man, this is a whole. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want a trans person. I don't want somebody who identifies as trans teaching my children. That's just not really what I want. I think
yeah, me neither. But like, I'm
I'm
not gonna be like, let's just get them all out of schools, like no matter who they are and what they're doing, because like I feel like there are individual cases where I'm like, this person's probably a fine teacher, and they probably don't do anything crazy, and like, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna say they should lose their jobs, but like, definitely these people should, and I wouldn't feel comfortable having my kid learning from a trans person, just
if
in
you're
as a person individually.
if you're a profoundly mentally ill person who thinks that you're a possum,
Mm-hmm.
you can't show up to teach my kid dressed
Yeah,
as a
you're gonna be
possum.
putting them on the wrong footing.
Yeah, I mean, like you can. I guess people that have private thoughts about being a possum and write stories that include themselves as possums and Harry Potter characters or something privately at home. I guess maybe they can teach kids. I guess, but you can't literally be wearing the furry suit to schools. That's not.
No.
I don't know. I mean, this is just. I don't know. It's like everything. I feel like I've said everything that there is to be said about this like a while ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. But
Yeah,
I
just a
mean,
quick refresher, a quick
oh
touch
no, for
up
sure.
on that.
Yeah, I'm not even saying like, not even anything bad. Just like, I mean, what is there to even fucking say about this topic anymore, man? Like at this point, I'm just like, yeah, I mean, let's just keep. I mean, just dump gas on the fire, I guess. Like it's children, schools are are obviously kind of like are obviously kind of an effective front of this fight.
Yeah.
And you know, most people don't uh, most people don't accept this. They really don't.
No.
And exposing kids to this stuff is, yeah, I don't know.
I
It's
promise you,
almost
dude.
like I'm just having a hard time like even articulating just like what my just overwhelmingly obvious, objectively correct take on this is, which is just like children are vulnerable and children should be protected,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's a thing we need to do. And it, you know, I don't
Well,
know,
dude,
you know
at
what I mean?
school,
It's just, it's all so obvious.
kids spend 8 hours in school, dude. Like something like that, roughly. Maybe not 8, but it's close to that. That's a long time of their day. They're spending almost as much time at school as they are at home. And if we're talking waking hours, they're spending more of their waking hours at school than they are at home on weekdays. Do you want your children to be around someone who doesn't have a basic grasp on reality that amount of days or that amount of time of their life when they're at a very impressionable age? I think that should be a resounding no. You want to have children be around adults that are going to be nurturing to them in the proper ways, that are going to be teaching them uh, things that are putting them on proper footing in order to engage with the world around them, and not just leaving them on, fucking houses of cards that are just like, oh, anything can be anything at any given time. You need to tell kids things that are concrete. You need to tell kids things that are foundational. And you can't tell kids things that are foundational by saying, well, this is a man, but a man can also be this other thing that's completely different. And the same thing with women. So really all of these things are just interchangeable. And so there's no solid footing. And you can't be telling kids this kind of shit because it extends into other concepts as well. And we need to have people that are willing to sit down, tell kids what's right is what's right, and steer them in the right direction. We can't have people who are letting kids like run the boat either, because that's another thing that goes on. People are like, oh well, like, let's just let this kid wear his fucking costume to school his whole life or whatever. At a certain point, you need to sit down and tell a kid, no, you can't wear the Superman costume to school anymore, bro. And are these people that are wearing fake tits going to be the ones to do that? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, kids being educated by people that are completely consumed by an ideology that basically explicitly is meant to just displace truth. Yeah,
Yes.
no thanks. Nope.
Yeah, it's
Nope.
not a healthy thing.
This guy in Canada, not a lady, not a broad, but there is a broad that I want to talk about, and I got a question. I actually got a few questions, but I got one
Mm,
specific question.
let's hear us love.
Um, well, I'm talking about there's a country a long way from here. I've never been, probably never will go. Italy
Those are my
had a
boys.
little. Yep, go way back. Had a little election recently and elected this lady whose name I'm a little embarrassed.
Giorgia Meloni.
Thank you. We're gonna say Maloney, and I'm just minimizing the risk of me mispronouncing stuff because it's entirely possible I'm saying Maloney even wrong. But
Baloney, bro. Baloney,
baloney.
Maloney, whatever.
All right, Italy elects baloney. Listen, I got a question. What's the deal with this broad?
Hell if I know, dude. I'll tell you that much. I get on Twitter the other day when we first made this. We were like, we gotta get this thing running. So we made the Twitter account, and that's what it's everywhere on the timeline on that particular day. Is people one way or another pretty like upset about it or stoked on it, or just kind of like it's just around. People feeling it out one way or another, unsure how they're feeling about it. So I Google it. I'm like, what's the deal with this broad? Who the hell is this broad? So I look her up because I don't know shit about international elections. I barely
Yep.
know much about the general elections going on around here. And so I look into it, and I mean, pretty clearly off the bat, I realize I'm not going to get anything meaningful out of any news source about this lady.
Yeah.
Because you Google her name and it's just like 14 pages worth of like hit pieces by the New York Times or the fucking Daily Caller or whatever the hell. Different people that are like, oh, Italy's new far right neo fascist group has terrible parallels with what's going on in the United States and is a strong warning for us to heed and all this
Right.
crazy shit. So as soon as I see an article like that, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna get more confused if I start trying to read these articles to figure out what's the deal with this
Well,
broad.
then you start getting anxious because then you're like, all right, well, I don't want to like unduly start liking this
Oh
person.
no, of course. I start seeing them. They're like, this could be a bad thing for the EU, and she's, and I was like, fuck, this is cool. Okay, like, and then I see like the New York Times hates her and thinks she's a threat. I'm like, all right, she might be based. So I'm like, I'm like, I don't want to be hasty into it. So I start looking into it, and then I start seeing things. I'm like, okay, there are some questionable things here, and also like I'm not someone who's going to embrace a title of fascism or anything like that. I mean, we've already had discussions on the usefulness of that word at all in general. And I think obviously it's fucking a loaded thing. But I wouldn't like embrace that and name myself that.
Dude, anymore, anymore, when I hear someone say fascism, it's a shorthand. It's just a shorthand for a flavor of right wing thought that is illiberal. And in
Yeah.
that way, and being clear here on that way, by those merits, I like hear it as a good thing. If
Well,
libs are
yeah.
calling someone fascist, then I'm like, okay, this is a right winger that I actually have, that I'm willing to listen to.
That's literally what I was about to say, and that's what it's like. It's a weird line to walk because it's like, okay, it's obviously an illiberal ideology if these people are going to be pushing so strongly against it. If they're
Mhm.
willing to label them in this way and to try to do essentially what they did to Trump, um, it's obvious, but they're even ratcheting it up for this lady and
Well,
saying it's
well,
worse than Trump, etc.
and just because like and because fascism is an illiberal ideology, right? Just like communism, right? But like in this, just like it's like how people say like late capitalism, which I don't like love that phrase, but I almost feel like we're in like a late liberalism era,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah.
And our we're so impoverished to be able to articulate any alternative to it, that our language is just so flattened out, right?
Hmm.
And so all illiberal thought uh, to the left of us is communism, and all illiberal thought to the right of us is fascism.
Hmm.
And so that's why, obviously, like if any of these fucking really specific monarchists or whatever are ever talked about in mainstream, they'll just be called fascists, right?
Yeah.
And similarly, whenever right wingers talk about anybody that's some flavor of Marxist or God forbid anarchist, they're
Hmm.
a commie, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm
It's
saying.
like a sorting mechanism or like a labeling,
Well,
thing.
it's like liberalism is the standard unit by which everything
Yeah,
is
measured
measured,
against.
because it's the water we're swimming in, right?
Yeah, and you're saying that we don't have great language and it's pretty much flattened out, so it's hard to be able to, it ends up being named one of these two things. Either if it's on the right and it's illiberal, it's going to be fascism, and if it's on the left and it's illiberal, it's going to be communism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is troublesome for a lot of issues, or in a lot of ways, because I think obviously, right, these terms are very muddy. They're not great at describing what things are, so they're thrown around for everything that has nothing to do with what they are. But also, it is like a sorting mechanism where like those things end up getting clumped all together. And in that little murky oblivion, they kind of start rubbing shoulders up with each other. And you get into like these weird amalgamations of things. And I think it creates dead ends, I think, in illiberal critique, where people are like, when they get sorted into that, they will start to embrace it more. And then it's like they get into echo chambers and they end up getting to endpoints, it's almost like a funnel type system, and it funnels into, well, what was at one point in time maybe right wing a liberal critique. A lot of people who were kind of sorted into that they're fascist or whatever end up, I feel like, following down these routes to something that resembles something like that. It's people have a tendency to try to one up themselves or the people around them, so they, be more garish, more whatever, and so kind of start going down those routes. And the same thing with like communism or whatever. And I think that that's destructive as far as for dissident thought and for a liberal critique in general. I think that a liberal critique or a point of view which is critiquing liberalism is, I think, the most reasonable point of view to have now is one that is saying, well, I'm taking a step outside of this whole machine of ideology that's working and kind of essentially perpetuating this horrible life we're living in, and
Uh-huh.
saying, well, there are issues here, and I'd like to formulate things that counter that, right? And I think that
Mhm.
that's the best place to be. I think that's an important thing. I think that's a huge bursting thing that's happening right now, and we need to nail it down. Like, not nail it down as in like we need to sort it out, but like we need to pour pour fuel on that fire and allow that to bubble over, and the ideas be allowed to circulate, and us come up with a good illiberal critique. And rather than being like, well, here are the two illiberal critiques, and I was sorted into this one, so I'm going to go down this path. I don't think that that's a healthy way to go. And I know that's not right. I know that's not taking into account individuals. Not everyone's going to do that or whatever. But I think it has a tendency to go in that direction.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even necessarily think that there's like like an intention, an intentional design behind it. I think it's just kind of like the
Yeah.
way that just like this total hegemony of it works, right? That
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of funnels things, and everything is judged relative to this ruling ideology of the day. And yeah, well, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's the thing. That's the thing that I'm most concerned with
Yeah.
is just liberalism, and just chipping away at that kind of. I don't even know how to quantify this. I mean, that just totalizing whatever. I'm not even going to try, but
Machine. It's like a machine the way it operates. I mean, it just kind
yeah,
of
it's
goes. A
well, I mean,
consciousness, maybe.
yeah, it's almost like well, yeah, I mean, it's ideology, right? But I
Yeah.
mean, it's like I mean, I guess to like invoked to like Landian kind of like language, like it's kind of this feedback loop quality
Yeah.
with the way, I don't know, the way that like capitalism and liberalism kind of nest in one another. Anyways, what is the deal with this broad? She had a beautiful speech. She quoted Chesterton.
Mm-hmm.
She's talking about finance and how that's bad. And I mean, she's given the whole shtick, and it's good, and it's talking about an Italian identity. And yeah, I mean, sure, all right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
um Seems like a good speech. All of the usual suspects are upset about it. I thought it was a nice speech. I'm fond of Chesterton. I'm reading Chesterton right now.
Sure. Of course.
We both are, I think.
Mm-hmm. We have been.
um
I ran through that shit, dude. I read and
Orthodoxy
listened
was so
to
good.
so many of his books. The Everlasting Man, Orthodoxy, Heretics, fucking his thing about Francis of Assisi, and I just ran through all of them. I couldn't get enough of G.K. Chesterton.
Dude, it's funny
And
because I'm
yeah,
just like, I'm still just chipping my way through Orthodoxy, because it's so it's
there's
so
a
easy to.
lot. There's a lot
No,
to chew
exactly.
on in there. It makes you think.
This motherfucker. Every paragraph is just dropping like the most quotable thing I've
Yeah,
heard all
yeah,
day, and at a
yeah.
certain point, I'm needing to do that thing where, I mean, like, my example of it, because I'm an idiot, is like when I'm reading a really challenging book, and I'm just like, oh man, like, what does that word mean? What does that word mean? And at a certain point, I'm like, all right, like, if I'm gonna get through this book, I need to get a little like looser on my standard here of looking things up. And that's how I feel
Yeah.
like reading I feel kind of similar to that with reading Chesterton, where I'm just like, all right, I can't write all of these quotes down because
Yeah,
it's
dude.
too many, right? It's just the book. But anyway, she quotes him, and anyway, I'm gonna get to my point, which is basically people are pretty stoked on her. I don't know. I saw Jeremy Lafredo posting something about her talking about how critical uh, COVID vaccine green passes are going to
Yep.
be for the security of Italy.
And
Um,
digital IDs, not really like digital IDs plus COVID vaccine.
well,
Like,
same thing, right? I mean, it's
yeah, but
basically
it's a broader, like, I think that the digital IDs is a broader thing that the COVID vaccines verification system was kind of designed to like bring into effect more so, or kind of tie into everyday society.
well. I almost kind of think like this was kind of a function of it of you you're going into it really just expecting digital IDs, right? That's what you got to get done. So what you do is you shoot for the bleachers and you set up, all right, it's going to be digital IDs based on mandating everyone get a medical procedure, right? And then you go, all right, well that's too tall of an ask. So we'll walk that back. You guys win this round and we'll just quietly in that win the fact that we have digital IDs now,
Yeah,
right? You make it
exactly.
seem like, oh, I didn't get what I wanted, but really you just led, it's fucking negotiating. It's just basic negotiating, right? Um, yeah, I'm not really fond of that. I'm also not entirely fond of the words of support she has with Ukraine. Now, the thing with Ukraine is, is it the type of situation where I should take this kind of stuff with a grain of salt and get realistic about what I can expect from a leader in Europe? Maybe. I don't really like that answer, and
Yeah.
I'm still going to have a problem with it. Um, I don't know. My whole take on all of this generally is I think the system's greatest function is just absorbing uh, aesthetics
Mm-hmm.
that are speaking out against it and then
Mm-hmm.
turning them into little products
Yeah.
and using it to perpetuate itself. And I think that words are generally kind of cheap. Um,
Yes.
and I don't know, this broad, I see a lot of pictures of I'm seeing a lot of pictures of her like on Twitter, on like right-wing Twitter, people just like it's super obsessed with aesthetics and all that, and it's pictures of this broad from like 98 or something, and so maybe what I'm about to say isn't accurate, but as far as I can tell, this woman, to my point of view, is like fucking the Italian Pete Buttigieg. Like she could have been grown in a fucking petri dish last fucking week for all I know.
She do
Um,
look a little wild, bro. I'm just
she
googled up Giorgia Meloni 1998, and I'm seeing some photos.
Giorgia. I'm gonna call her Giorgia from now on because that's the only way that it should be said if
Yeah, I
you're
don't
on
know.
this side of the fucking Atlantic.
I mean, I was about to say Georgia, and I know it's not. I mean, it might be Georgia, but I don't think it is.
Who's
And
the
that's how I read it at first.
remember that broad? She's like the Rivellino but female. The god damn it, terrible house guest or
Oh my
something.
god, horrifying housewife, baby, Bevy 112. Let's go.
Yeah, she's like she does the like obvious male to female thing. I want to get the charts on this lady.
Oh
I
my
want to get the
god, I could
charts on
ask
this
her
lady.
for it. Okay, cuz she's blocked my past account. I don't know why. I guess she took a look over it and didn't approve or something. But now that we have this new account,
Oh, I
I'm
followed
in
her
there.
already. I
Yeah,
followed
yeah,
her.
we're in there. So I've been giving a look over. I'm pretty pleased. I'm trying to lay under the radar as of now, not draw any attention and maybe get blocked again. But at some point, I may hit her up with an ad and ask her for the Giorgia Meloni, Q angles. Let me see
Let's get
the
this fucking
shoulder to
angle
hip
started.
ratio on there, bone structure, etc.
Well, Georgia, congratulations. Congratulations. Uh,
I guess we'll just see what happens, bro. I feel like that's all there is to it. I don't know enough about this broad. I can't get enough reliable information about her through either Twitter, individuals, or the mainstream media. Obviously, I mean that's a fucking given. And so really, all there is is just to sit back and see what happens. And I feel like it's just gonna be probably like just some more nothing really. I don't think she's gonna do much anything. It'd be cool if she's like, yo, fuck the EU, fuck the central banks, fuck all that shit. That'd be hella dope. But then if she's like, you know, turns out actually Jewish trannies run all that shit. Let's get rid of them. I'd be like, ah, damn, that's not great. That's not a good look.
No, I mean, what it would really be would be, you know, her fucking, I don't know, doing some fucking World Economic Forum bullshit.
Oh, I mean, I imagine some of that shit's probably, I don't know. I mean, that
dude, they got their whole fucking dossier on like little fucking groomed up politicians they got waiting in the rafters talking about, I don't know, fucking being a fucking based trad.
Yeah, oh, of course.
It's there. It's coming. You know?
They're percolating. I mean, that's obviously the trend to hop on right now if you're trying to get into like.
Dude, you'll own nothing and you'll be based.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I don't know about this lady because I don't trust that she's got blonde hair. I don't understand why I think she dyes it that way, and I don't like it. It gives her a Northern Italy look. It doesn't vibe with the rest of like her rhetoric in general, which is pretty strong, like Southern Italy, Sicily type vibes. And it just seems like a mismatch. There seems like something's off with this broad, and I mean, you know, I don't know. I don't know what she's of. I see apparently she's saying hateful things. I don't know. I didn't look into them. I imagine that's just something they're gonna say about anyone they dislike, and so whatever. And so I'm just gonna sit back and see what happens. Really, I got nothing to do with it, really. So interested really to see what happens. Hopefully she's not, World Economic Forum shill, and hopefully she's not like a straight up maniac, like actual. I want to put people on camps fascist.
She's just gonna. Oh, that's never gonna fucking happen. She's just gonna be usual missionary position, fucking globalist shill. I imagine that's what's gonna happen. But hey, maybe I eat my words. I don't know. But I feel like that's basically everything we had on the docket. I think
that's it. I think we ran through it there.
We don't have a fade out now though, so I'm terrified of how we're supposed to end this.
We could fade it out just kind of like.
And we just end it.
I think that was a pretty good episode. Yeah, we could end it.
Yeah, that's